of the rest of what is left. So people realize that capital is very coward. That this how they say goes. Capital is coward. Once you started to do something to someone, make sure that the rest will be very sensitive, very fearful, and the rest will almost certainly go away in fear that they may also, face the same fate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yes, it is a policy. It comes in all shapes and forms.
But in indigenization and nationalization is different from this sequestration of assets that is happening now with the Russian oligarchs. Does it what I'm thinking about, because during the 80s, 90s, the Prime Minister then in this country, Margaret Thatcher, brought this idea of market economy, where the industrial base in this country disappeared, almost disappeared. No manufacturing of anything, only service industry, and people bringing in assets, foreign assets, and propping up the economy. Isn't there a danger that if they remove the stool in this, as it were, the stilts on which this economy stands, the whole thing might collapse?
Well,
because we are seeing the effects at the moment.
It used to happen in two different ways. Different types, as we say. There are a lot of shapes and forms of doing this by different governments throughout decades.
But first of all, what is this meant to achieve?
Right.
Is it to put pressure on Putin?
You mean this one?
Yes.
We'll come to this.
Okay.
We'll come to this. But generally, the way this used to be conducted is either by the so-called expropriation of basically businesses belonging to people, that is, take all what they have. Factories, businesses that is run, trade, take it away and just tell them to go. And then you've got this process of nationalization. That's mean that usually, not necessarily all the cases, mean that the government will take your, businesses from you and compensate you for that. And then you're free to do whatever you want to do. Basically, they are turning. So it's different from that process of expropriation that is completely taking it. And this happened happened during few times to in a few Arab countries. This happened to some Jewish businesses, and also during the time of the Berserk sort of movement by Idi Amin. He ended up actually expropriating all the businesses of the Asian people who used to live in Uganda.
Well, is it legal though?
The problem is
in international.
The problem is now, it may be that there was nothing that could have been done at the time, but now it's different, because when you, as an African country or any other country for that matter, have a business, you encourage inward investments, people coming from abroad to invest in you. You encourage this. What you most likely end up to be attracting multinationals and people who have
huge amount of
wealth all over the world. And this is where the danger is. If you do this to a company that is an international bank, if you do it to big businesses like Shell or Mobil Oil, the big oil companies, if you do this to one of these, or the businesses that are, connected to this, basically to Europe and America, they will hit you back, because they will see you in places like London or New York Paris, and they will get that money from you if you take that money. So the process of expropriation almost died now. We never see it unless it comes in a legal form, through legal matters. If you can prove that this business actually is money laundering or based on smuggling or in any illegal activities, then you have the right to sue the business or the businessman, and then in that case it will be a court of a matter of the courts.
Okay, but
This
so
can also be challenged, but in the legal sense.
Yes.
But the expropriation, the way it used to be, it's now becoming very, very difficult. It's almost unheard of now.
But what? Okay, let's take the instance of Chelsea owner.
Yeah.
I want profit. What is that? Is that expropriation or sequestration of assets or assets frozen? Because
Most likely the latter, but we don't know the details of it. But obviously, he at one time felt that he wanted to sell.
No, it's being forced to sell because of his
Well, forced to sell.
I mean, I'm just wondering. Well, what I'm thinking is there a period where the country is allowed to do this, to put pressure on the seemingly dictator like Putin and all this type of things, so that to bring about peace, if you know what I mean.
Well, we know the immorality of it, because we know that at one time when Russia and the Soviet Union were falling apart and then started to be replaced by this oligarchic sort of run economy, and here at that period emerged people like Ramovich, and many other people, and actually they even transformed London and London property probably for good. And we know that many of them came and bought property in London. Almost London has been, being made almost exclusive to businesses that are coming from Russia and the oligarch.
But if by chance that is the danger was painting before, that it's very difficult to attract this type of businesses, knowing that they are coming from, maybe in your own opinion, wrong source. And if by any chance they happen to escape with their business or their money, would that not spell doom to this country financially?
Well, it is going to raise questions, and people who always thought that this is as safe as you may get probably will pay attention. And because now people like Ramovich, he already, his citizenship in this country have been also affected, and he has never been granted a citizenship of this country, because there were always questions in regard to his connection to Putin,
like a spy or
and so on. So he's already sought some other means of doing it. He now has an Israeli. This is only media.
I don't want to talk about individual. I'm just looking at the whole globally.
So it raises questions, and we want to connect this to Africa in the end of the discussion here. And so it may raise questions. It may raise doubts in the minds of the people who think that investment in these countries in the West is safe, and safe like no other.
So the notion of free market is just like an ideal. There's only free market.
This will be pushing it too much. But how free market is affected by politics, that's where the question is. but it's not going to affect the notion of free market, but the practicalities of capital freedom and economic freedom, free entry, free exit of capital, as is being usually promoted. There are questions that actually this is not like this. Politics can come to it, and politics, is a dirty game. It moves all the time. Today it's against Russia. Tomorrow it may stand by Russia. So we probably we're not going to invent the wheel saying this. I mean, whoever.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying, like all these African leaders or past leaders or Africans that have featured their country's resources and placed them abroad. And if such things should happen to them, I mean, who is losing? Is that the continent? I mean, I would rather prefer someone like a Dangote Group, that is all its resources and everything, even under difficult market conditions, it's still operating within the country and across Africa. So that's okay. But like the others, I mean, I don't want to be specific now, but I think I've been tempted because it's in the public gaze. A governor handed over the reign of office on Thursday, and 5 hours later, he was picked up at the international airport wanting to escape. Why the hurry?
Escape from what?
From the country. From
you mean were there any charges against him?
I mean, I don't know. Because like if you're a governor, you can't be subjected to legal litigations, any litigation at all.
You mean my freedom to leave the country is restricted?
No. I mean, if you're a governor, you can go anywhere you want. Nobody can bring any action against you. But a minute you cease to be a governor, then the law you'll be subjected to the law.
What law?
So in other words, they've been monitoring him. Say, okay, maybe.
But have they charged him?
I don't know.
How legally was his apprehension at the airport? How legal is that?
I mean,
was it based on any legal grounds?
I don't know. That is another thing we'll find out. But it's still under EFCC. This anti-graft commission. It's still under their custody. But on what grounds, I don't know. Maybe someone must have filed charges against him or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, why you running? Why? He just left office some few hours. Why are you going away? I mean, I'm not saying that
it is a personal choice, isn't it?
It is a personal choice. I mean,
I can't believe now. This is over now. Let me go and take a rest. Go to
at least
a holiday, a nice holiday destination.
And you'll not come back.
Who said so? Who said so?
I don't know. I mean, because
if there is a lesson to be learned, anyway, why?
Yeah.
If there is a lesson to be learned from this,
from what we are talking about, yes,
is that it's better you Africans reinvest
in the country, in the continent.
If it's stolen, it's still probably safer. It's safer
at least
to leave it within the continent,
yes,
or within your own country.
That is the lesson. What I was trying to drive at,
because it's not gonna, benefit you if even you are as powerful as Russia or Russian, oligarch. It's not gonna help you a lot. So this is a lesson for us.
You can imagine, like, as an African having the type of wealth Beach has, of Chelsea, and all of a sudden disappears within, talking about billions of dollars disappearing.
This guy has taken this country for residents for so long, and he
so also are the
even with
African,
that
so also
sort
are
of
the African leaders, you know.
at the popular level, down to football and things like that. And probably even at one time his name may have been chanted on the terraces of his own club.
Exactly.
So
I'm just wondering whether this measure is like last resort measure, because I mean it's not good for investment in foreign countries. If people see you that you're either freezing their assets because
I
of
don't know
something.
whether it's going to bring down the prices of property in London and then helping. Well, helping the ordinary people by that, if all the oligarchs of London, are to flee the country, selling off their property, probably the property market may crash or may come down significantly, so that ordinary people may benefit from it.
I mean, shouldn't
These are all speculation and hopes
I know.
rather than
Shouldn't
facts.
this country reconsider the notion of all this free market and all this? Say, look, let's start creating industrial base, manufacturing base. Let's like manufacturing cars. They still have the technology. They still have the people. Let's have this, because this idea of comparative advantage, because you have this better than I, and this, though it sounds nice. Look at Germany, for instance. Though we are still shouting sanctions. If Russia should turn off the tap, going to Germany now, you know the effect that will have in the whole of Europe?
It's a dangerous game for them, and they know that. And they know the Americans, some of the Europeans are hesitant to go down that route because they know how dangerous it can be. After all, it's war within Europe.
Yeah.
And if they allow America to pull the strings all the way, it is a dangerous game.
And the dictator in Russia knows that too.
Yeah. They know that. They know the danger in all of this is to undermine the whole economic system, the economic financial system. Because if the Russians now are able to work with the Chinese on this, and they're not short of supporters. We know people standing on the fringes, people like Iran, maybe even North Korea, and a few others who are not happy with the way America is running the show. If this one, particularly with China, if this is going to end up undermining the dollar, because I heard the news, it's in the news that Saudi Arabia had already reached an agreement with the Chinese that they should pay the Chinese in their own currency rather than the dollar. The what is it called? The Chinese, the Chinese currency.
Yeah.
Not the yuan, the other one. So if the Saudi Arabia decided to pay
in Chinese currency,
the Chinese currency rather than the dollar, this is almost certainly. If Russia went into that game and decided to take in either its own currency, which is unlikely, but again to down and to undermine the strength of the dollar, because there is this way of saying this. If you have a ton or certain amount of petrol, oil, you want to sell it, then if the Russians say, look, we'll pay you that much kilos of gold because we have the best gold resources in the country.
Yeah, so
Okay.
exchange for
So we want the same value, say $100. We'll pay you this $100 in gold, and then another country came and said, look, we'll pay you this in copper. Another one come, will pay you.
I mean, but that is just theoretical. It's not possible.
Theoretical.
Yeah.
But what we're gonna reach from this, guys, the whole system that is being the so-called Bretton Woods system that replaced the old gold standard thing. If this is going to be undermined, because basically what we have in practice, in theory, no, but in practice, the dollar actually took over and it became the gold standard. Now it's a dollar standard.
Yeah.
It's the way, and it goes with other financial systems like SWIFT system. So if that is going to be undermined, that is going to be, shifting rather.
I mean, that won't shift because the SWIFT system is just a matter of payments, and that one.
Yeah, but what it means that every single transaction within the whole world is going through America and going through the dollar.
Yeah.
That's what it means. That's the danger. That America has control over every single transaction, even though it's between Iran and China. But the Americans still have a say.
Yeah, it's okay. It's held the world economy thus far. I mean, there's nothing but, and most countries have keyed it into it too. So I mean, like if they remove Russia, Russia will probably, because of their assets as well, they might maybe leave for a few months, and then we'll see pressure on Putin. But in all what we are seeing, I just want the war to end. I mean, it's senseless killing. It's gone on for so long now. Russia has made its presence as a big brother felt, and so what? So stop killing people. At the end of the day, you still have to sit down and talk. So if you kill millions, and what have you achieved? These stupid ideological mindsets that people have. I want to bring back the Soviet Union as it used to be. Anyway, what do I know? We'll just take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll continue with our show. Stay tuned.
Week, and we need more rotters. Whether you live in a house with a garden or a high-rise flat,